Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Hi, and welcome back to another realistic sustainability educational short. Well, this one's not necessarily an educational short. Let's call it a Mike's Opinion, because that's what you're getting this week. I recently got a question asking if the Earth had a human problem. They were really just alluding that we were overpopulated and we were consuming too much and the planet couldn't maintain it, which I understand. Every time we do a calculation, it says that every human acts like we use 1.6 Earths. And I think that's because we grew up in a lifestyle that just said use, throw away, and no one ever thought about where away was. But why would someone think that we're the problem on the planet? Well, I think that's pretty easy to say. We overfish, we overhunt, we abuse nature at its fullest through manufacturing waste and air pollution, water pollution. There's a lot of things we do. We see energy shortages every day, yet we waste in the same amount of days. I'm recording this right now while Texas is struggling to get their energy grid back up, their very own energy grid. So we see these struggles each and every day. Large groups of humans are still starving. It's amazing how many people on this planet still don't get food. I get it. There's a lot of negative. But just for an hypothetical, let's just do a what if. What if humans lived within their environment? Yes, it means that some things have to change, and I know how everybody loves the word change, but let's just pretend. Let's just pretend right now. This is not a violation of rights, it's just we've all decided to do less, or spend less. What if every home was a little bit smaller? Not tiny all the time, but it used less energy, and it was built to last 200 plus years as it sat. That it would be energy efficient and insulated. We would use a fraction of the amount of energy. What if we normalized small living? Maybe some tiny houses or apartments. But I also like the idea of converting old malls into efficiency apartments for those who want them, where the center has a medical center, drug rehab center, and anything else people would need right there in that facility. But what if we did? What if we normalized small living, where we didn't live our lives to collect a bunch of things, but we left our house and collected experiences? What if we didn't waste 40% of all the food produced in America? What if we only ate what we needed and occasionally what we wanted? What if every time we sat down, we didn't scrape away enough food to feed a whole nother person? What if we didn't make it so that people who didn't have the finances couldn't eat? What if we didn't live in a world where more food was thrown away than was fed to those who needed it? I think that would be something worth looking at. What if we lived in a world where complete streets and cities was a thing, where mass transit was normalized and enjoyed? What if we all didn't have our own car or call a taxi when needed? What if we all just rode places together and the energy we used was greatly reduced? What if the energy grid was a micro smart grid that could balance electricity on its own with an AI system, and we didn't have to constantly produce the exact amount we need at every waking moment? What if that smart grid was pretty much fed with clean energy? Does it matter if only 16% of the energy makes it to a home if it's not being burnt? What if it's wind, solar, tidal, and hydro, with a little bit of hydrogen fuel and maybe even some bio waste? What if the grid was run like that? What if we didn't just abuse the planet? What if our industry had to work within the environment? It was already using clean energy because the grid would be clean. What if their rules were set up where they couldn't harm the environment? Well, these are all the things that popped directly in my head after getting that message. I don't think it's a fact that we have too many humans. I think it's a fact that we have too many humans doing the wrong things. that if we just started to slowly make that change, one action at a time, to get better, millions, then billions of humans, it doesn't matter how many are here. All we have to do is reduce the amount of waste. We have to stop consuming at will. If we consume at will, yes, we will run out. Scarcity will happen and people will panic and it will not go well. But if we treat the planet with respect, if we treat the resources with respect, if we treat each other with respect, I think that we could live on this planet with even twice as many people for a long, long time. Well, this one will probably get me some comments, but I appreciate you listening. Feel free to message me anytime. I look forward to seeing your responses. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
If you have the desire to be sustainable but are unsure of what can go in the recycling bin, or you're constantly forgetting the reusable grocery bags, check out Starting Sustainability, the podcast. Don't be frustrated or confused anymore. Starting Sustainability was created to help those beginning their sustainable journey. Each week, we give ideas on simple concepts you can easily incorporate into your current lifestyle. We also share stories of what works and what doesn't, so you don't have to waste your time and money. Check out Starting Sustainability, available everywhere you listen to podcasts.